So I don't think bishop a4 makes a lot of sense. I can think about going to c4 and pressuring that diagonal. I can think about going back to d3 or e2. f1 would be a possibility if I haven't left the rook on f1 at this point. Wouldn't be surprised if he plays d5 at some point, and so I'm not a big fan of my bishop getting hit by tempo on the c4 square. This diagonal might be the diagonal that I'm looking for, so d3 is going to be my move. All right, we're just going to back our bishop up. There's no reason to back him up to this square since we were avoiding putting him on that square anyway. And black has a reasonable position, but white's got good development, slight space advantage, good presence in the center. Wouldn't be surprised to see a line like takes, knight c5. Thinking I need to move my rook back at this point, rook to e1. Then maybe I can back my bishop up to f1, so I keep my bishop. Oops, don't want to pre-move that. There we go. All right, so we're getting this line that I was talking about. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see knight c5 at this point. And unfortunately, I haven't moved my rook, so I can't put my bishop on f1 yet. Oh, it goes for an immediate d5. Okay, that move I wasn't expecting. This kind of allows me to exchange and keep my bishops. So how much do I want to exchange pieces? I guess that's the question. If I take on d5, we might get a big trade. But am I unhappy with a trade in that position? If we trade everything, then he'll likely be left with an isolated d-pawn. So that doesn't seem like a big problem. Something like pawn takes, knight takes. If I go knight takes, bishop takes, I can save my knight. Or we can go pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, knight takes. I still have good center control. So I'm going to take e5. Now he's got to decide how many pieces he kind of wants to come off the board. So I'm still regretting not playing rook e1 a little earlier. Maybe instead of playing my bishop to g5, go back position. Yeah, in this position here, maybe rook e1 right away, since my bishop didn't do much on g5 anyway. I'm surprised that he's taking so long on this move since he played d5 so confidently. All right, and we're going to exchange dark square bishops. if he takes with the queen, then he would get the isolated d-pawn. If he takes with the knight, we just have a slight space advantage, nothing big. But let's put our rook on the e-file and see if we can create some weaknesses. Our bishop's aimed at their king. Our bishop's a little better than theirs, and our knights are well placed. Maybe queen f3. I go queen f3, I run into knight e5, so maybe knight e4. Eyeing up the d6 square. That looks pretty good. And then look to get my queen out on one of these squares, perhaps. So the position is not quite symmetric. And white's pieces just have a little more space to work with. Nothing big, just a little more space. Alright, if I play knight d6, he can exchange rooks. But then I'm the one that has the e-file in that position. So that seems perfectly fine for me. And I have a knight on d6, so that's got to be worth maybe nothing, but I would think something. So let's go in for that, and we'll recapture if he takes on e1. It'll also help control the b4 square, which his knight could be going to at some point. So I'm trying to play against this bishop that's stuck on c8. It's black's worst piece, and how bad that bishop is really the only advantage white has in this position. So if I can use all three of my minor pieces, and they're still only using two of theirs, then that is definitely a good thing for me. All right, here, I don't want to take his rook because then his knight takes, and my knight on d6 would be hanging. But I'm looking at queen d2 because his knight on d7 can't move because it's the only thing guarding his rook. And if it can't move, the bishop still can't move. So, still controlling that b4 square. I might even bring my knight back to e4 at some point. Ooh, or back to c4. And if I can get my second rook in the game, then he's really playing without his rook or his bishop or his knight. Okay, this looks good for me. It's a position that it feels like there's a tactic. So the reason I say that is because black just left their back rank vulnerable. So if I can get something on the back rank, a queen or a rook, it is winning. So I'm looking at rook takes, queen takes, rook takes, a rook here that eyes the back rank, and he's in a lot of trouble. But if rook takes, knight takes, then he's not in as much trouble. Now my knight is under attack right now, which makes me want to just play knight c4. It forces him to exchange rooks, and then he has to still worry about the back rank. So I think that's the way to play it. Knight c4, rook takes, rook takes. His bishop is still stuck on the back rank. This knight's still in the way. His knight goes back, and I can start loading up on the e-file. I definitely think taking is correct. Now we're still playing against that bishop that hasn't moved. Okay, so he played knight takes. Oh wait, didn't I say I was going to play knight c4 instead? Ah, I did say I was going to play knight c4 instead. I played the wrong move. I did all that talking and then I played the move that I didn't want to play. Okay, our position's still good here, but not quite as good. Yeah, knight c4 was better. I was busy talking about the other lines and didn't play the move I wanted to. All right, so we're just going to hit the queen. Try and regroup here. Now his bishop's going to be able to come in the game, though. So we definitely here need to play knight c4. Whoops. All right, so we're still hitting the queen. And it's a little awkward for that queen to find a good square. So we might still be able to play down the e-file. But I'm a little concerned about our bishop. I think we want to keep our bishop. I'm not sure we can now. Everything's more difficult now. Can't play my knight in. Their bishop is now coming alive. They're threatening to take my bishop on d3. I can play my bishop to c4. Nope, his knight's on that. I can play my bishop back to f1. Then he has this knight check. No, that doesn't do anything. He loses a piece there. All right, let's save my bishop. And now we have to try and regain the advantage. After all that work that we did playing against that bishop. So it just takes one move to let the advantage slip like that. Now we have to work to get it all back. All right. So that bishop's going to come into the game, but we don't really have any weaknesses. So it's not like we made the mistake and we're losing. We're going to swing our rook over to the e-file probably. See if we can play down the e-file again. Maybe a timely f4 push to dislodge that knight. Okay, so he plays c5 with the same type of idea. I'm going to go back to b3. So I'm threatening to take the c5 pawn right now, and I'm threatening the knight. So both are under attack. If he guards them, well, he can't guard them with queen d6 because my knight's on that. So he may have just let us back into the driver's seat. So his knight on d5 was a really good piece because it was so stable. Okay, which knight do I take with? Well, my knight on e4 is unguarded, which makes me think I should take with that one. Hitting this pawn and hitting the bishop. So the pawn is guarded by the queen right now, but if the bishop moves, the knight is hanging. So the position's starting to heat up a little bit. He doesn't have any nice moves like knight c4 on the queen, because my bishop that I brought back to f1, where I originally wanted it, is doing a good job controlling those squares. Alright, so he's giving me that bishop if I want it. But my knight is so nice. Do I really want to trade it for that bishop right now? I think I do. Just so there's no one opposing my bishop. I can always replace my knight. My knight's not very stable on c5, so I'm going to go ahead and take the bishop. He's probably going to retake with the queen, so he doesn't have an isolated pawn. And now, okay, he took back with the pawn, so now he's got this isolated pawn. So what I'm thinking is, one, it's on a light squared, so this bishop that we saved from earlier in the game is going to be beautiful along that diagonal and that target. Two, the rook that's going to the e file that we talked about is going to be even more powerful now. And if I can get my other knight back to c5 at the right moment, it's going to again be a tempo. So I would say that at this point, the game is probably strategically lost for black. He's down a pawn, and he's going to be losing at least another pawn. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my rook to the file. We want to dislodge this knight that's sitting on e5 since it's controlling c4. And we want to follow up once that knight moves with bishop c4 likely to put all the pressure we can on this e6 pawn. Now, what black should be doing is looking for a way to create counterplay. But I just don't see much in this particular position. We're going to proceed with our plan of bishop c4. And you can see how powerful this bishop is since black doesn't have a bishop to oppose it. If he puts his rook on d8, we're simply going to move our queen to the e file. Let's make sure we put on a good square on the e file. Do we even put it on the e file though? I've got bishop takes e6 check. So I can put my queen on the e file, my position's fine. But do I have more if I just play bishop takes e6 check right away? Bishop takes e6 check. Queen takes check. Let's just put our queen on the e file. Let's not get fancy. He can't guard that pawn anymore anyway. Well, he can't push it because it's pinned. Let's keep it simple. We're going to win that pawn anyway, so we don't need to do it in some fancy in-between move. When you're up in a position like this, you want to keep things as simple as possible. Making it complicated only gives your opponent more chances to come back into the game. Yeah, b5 there would have been a free pawn. It also loosens that knight a lot. Okay, so he's blocking the bishop from coming in and taking the pawn, but I can simply take that pawn with my queen right now. And that is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to nab my second pawn. My back rank is not a big issue. I've always got bishop f1 if needed. And his king is still going to be on that diagonal with my bishop. So there aren't really any back rank issues I have to worry about. Now once the queens come off, okay. So we're going to just trade queens here. Now we're up a clean 2 pawns, so our goal is just to trade, trade, trade. So we're going to attack this other knight. See where it decides to go. If he plays knight b4, I can get away with taking the knight on e7 because I've got bishop f1, and then I'm just up a piece. All right, so I'm just going to trade it off. And now my goal is to trade rooks. Can't take this knight yet because I would just be checkmating myself. So king f1. Now I'm threatening to take the knight. So naturally he moves the knight. Rook d1, pinning the knight would be a mistake here because he would have knight e3 check with a discovery on my rook. So I want to minimize the amount of play that black has. So I'm looking at the move c3, just so the knight can't get into b4. And then I'm likely to put my knight on d4 to hit that pawn and block the file. I also have ideas of infiltrating on the 7th or 6th rank with my rook at this point. Do we just bring our king in? All right, I'm going to just place my knight here. I know he can play c5, but I think that's just going to become more of a weakness for him. Actually, after c5, I can play rook e6. Okay, so let's force the rooks off. And endgames where knights are still on the board and the pawns are not even are some of the easiest to win. Knights don't offer very many drawing chances for the side with less pawns. So this is the only square you can go to. My knight's guarding that, so let's just march my king up. March my king up further. Now I'm going to play g3 just to keep his knight out. All right, now I get to pick up a pawn. I guess that guy's not guarded, so h3 didn't do much to help my case. All right, we'll take this pawn. We'll take the a pawn. We'll at least make him work a few more moves to get these pawns on the king side. And if the knight ever comes over to help the king, then he won't be able to stop the c pawn. I don't think he can stop the c pawn anyway. So we didn't need to drop the h3 pawn. But his king might have been getting in there anyway. Look at that. Maybe I can't stop his king from getting in there and getting the h-pawn anyway, so perhaps that doesn't make a big difference. So I'm going to push this pawn, the c-pawn. I'm not going to worry about taking the a-pawn because that moves my knight so far away from the king side. And I'd like my knight to come back. But what square does my knight need to get back to? So he obviously wants to push h4 and then have a past h-pawn. That's his goal. My knight would kind of like to be on this square. All right, let's bring it towards the king side. Even if we have to sacrifice our knight for the h-pawn, it should still be an easy win. As I'm going to create two passed pawns on the queen side, and I'll have a passed f-pawn. And the knight is just going to be very split with the duties that it needs to do. All right, we'll hit the pawn. Now I'll create another passed pawn. Oh, he has a4 here. Uh-oh, I need to play b3 first. So he can play a4 here, and his one pawn stopping both of mine. So it made this a little more difficult than we wanted. His king was able to infiltrate. Okay, so he didn't do anything about that. So he's just trying to win that f-pawn. I don't think I care about his f-pawn. What if I just go... Alright, let's push the b-pawn. He can take on f2, and then his knight has to try and run back. So his idea here is that if I take his knight, I have trouble stopping his h-pawn, which is a valid point. So if I take the knight, then I cannot stop his h-pawn. But I might not be able to stop the h-pawn anyway. So if I let him queen, can he stop my c-pawn? Take h2, probably. So if knight h4 check, king g1, my knight is pretty clumsy here. What about knight h2, king takes h2, king f1. So his king can't get out. So I'm looking at knight h2, king takes h2, king f1, and then pushing my c-pawn. Oh, but my c-pawn's under attack. But I've got an f-pawn in that position. Okay, let me go for that line. So if he takes my knight, his king kind of gets trapped on the h-file, is the idea. All right, so now we're going to continue with our plan of king f1. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and take the a-pawn, push a4, and this looks like it's likely to be a draw. Because I can push the f-pawn, and his king gets out. Maybe. Okay, I'm going to push the f-pawn. Yeah. If I push the f-pawn, then he pushes the h-pawn. So we did indeed stop the h-pawn, but not fast enough. All right, he threw in a spike check. Okay, Eric, I see your chat now. Oh, okay, well. What is he doing? If he gets his knight to f2, is it checkmate? Wow. All right, well, there's nothing we can do about that. We just have 2 pawns on the 5th rank, and our king is stuck in the corner. Wow, that was a nice finish by him. Let's look at that last bit again. So my guess is that in this position, after knight e5, I don't know if there's anything I can do after knight e5. Does anyone see any creative moves after this? Huh. Knight e5, and I think maybe white's already lost here. It's a really strange position. I thought that I might be drawing with my knight h2 try, but that didn't work either. So I must already be lost here. Which means That is probably already in trouble in this position. Yeah. Push b5 here. So b5, knight takes knight, b6. Something like this. Knight h4. b5 looks like a good try, Eric. Although, what if he just lets me queen? This is probably still losing, though. And he's got the knight. Wow, that's a really interesting position. So, was there a way for me to more easily stop that h-pawn from existing? B takes A? Let me look at that. Oh, okay, so here, takes A6, B2, A7, queen, check, somewhere. Yeah, I guess I've got 3 pawns. The problem with knight h4 in this position is that he just pushes. Oh, he's in check. Well, if he just attacks my knight, he can't. If he goes down, can I stop it now? Oh, so maybe if I'm gonna do it, maybe I do knight h4 first. Knight h4 check, king g1, and then play b5 or b takes a5. Because then I get the knight at the end too. So by bad, that might be a good idea. Throw in the bishop or the knight h4 check, and then play b takes a5. Oh wait, but in that position, I can't take b takes a5 because his queen then guards the a8 square. So what about b5? No, nope, it doesn't work because I've chased his king off the diagonal. Oh, the next game is starting. All right, we're done with that interesting position. Now we're up against MCT Charles. I think we're up against him if he makes a move here. Okay, we might be getting a nice easy game here. We could use it after that last one. After that last end game. So he might have walked away from the board in between rounds and didn't know that it started again. Yeah, we had a good crowd, 28 players. So pretty good crowd for this tournament. That's a little bit bigger than I remember it being last time I played, which was 2 years ago. All right. I'm not sure. I can't imagine they're going to let it run out for the entire 15 minutes, but wish him good luck. Maybe that'll make a beep on his computer and he'll come make a move. Yeah, maybe I can open another tab while we're talking about it, since my opponent hasn't made a move. Oops, I wanted archive, not analysis board. Keep checking on that. Yep, I occasionally play like I'm that high, and then occasionally I play like I'm a 1000. It keeps things interesting. But as I said before the stream started, my USCF online quick rating is 1300. So playing online has never been good for me. Okay, computer analysis. Let's see how we do here. All right, he still hasn't made a move. So I just kind of want to look at the game and add Stockfish. Yeah, there we go. I haven't played quick chess on chess.com for like 2 years. But online chess, if you look at the description on the channel, one of the reasons that I'm playing and streaming is because I'm just trying to get more practice. And online chess has always been a big weakness of mine. Okay, so let's see here. So in this position, when he creates the passed h-pawn, it says I'm still winning. Knight f3 is definitely a mistake. I'm losing all of my advantage by doing that. So knight g6, attacking the pawn from the other side. Oh, because then if he pushes, I have knight f4 check, and I can at least pick up the pawn. Interesting. Okay, so after knight f3, it says it's even. And we already looked at that. And it says he's +1 here with knight h4 check. Okay, +2 now. All right, so it looks like it's saying that b takes a5 does not work. So let's look at that line. A6. I assume he just queens, and it's going to be... Oh, he doesn't queen. Oh, he just runs away, and he can stop the pawn. Yeah, that really doesn't work then, because he doesn't have to queen. Yeah, knight h4 is the right move. Well, as right as it can be. But yeah, he doesn't have to queen right away. He can actually just stop the a pawn, and I assume the b pawn also. Okay. So let's look. Knight h4. How can we keep this as close as possible? Check on that game again. Nope, he's still not going. Okay. King g1. Oh, knight f5. And if he pushes h7, then I go to g3. Or if he goes to h2, then knight g3. Very nice, Bybab. Yeah, knight h4, but you don't get full credit unless you saw knight f5 after it. Okay, I don't think that's a real plus 1.6 though, because after h2, knight g3, okay. Takes, knight takes c4. But once you play knight h4, knight f5 is much easier to find. So getting knight h4 is the important part. And once you can get that move, then you can go ahead. Especially because all our other suggestions just didn't work anyway. Like any of the pawn moves, the knight just gets back and can capture them anyway. So knight h4 definitely was the move. Well, that was enough. That once you play that and save the knight, then you probably find the rest of it. Okay, so b5. My opponent's just not going to move, apparently. King g2. Alright, this looks drawn. We're both going to queen. But it's even. Alright, I don't think that whole line is worth looking at. But knight h4 followed by knight f5 is a nice save. Alright, let's take a look at what else is going on in the other games since we've got some time. What's our top game going on here? Alright, we've got Rambo 111. Or actually, you know what? Let's see, who did we play last round? Bookfair. Let's see how his game is going. Bookfair is playing Vorap. Vorap has a big space. Wow, Bookfair got black again. And he's in the upper score group, but I guess he's lower rated player. So he seems to like to take these positions that have a space disadvantage. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. So it's a Queen's Gambit declined, kind of a Nimzo-like structure. Not exactly, though. Looks like it's kind of a hybrid. Black doesn't look like they're playing any kind of real theory, just a solid position. And white just expands on the queen side. So I have to think white's doing pretty well here. But all of black's pieces are kind of active. So that game is still far from finished. Alright, so this is the top game. They're already in an end game. So here we see white give up their bishop, but they have this space advantage. They've already got a pawn on g5, and it's the dark square bishop that they gave up. In addition, they've got some control over f6, and black clearly does not have any kind of development going on. Alright, so white just won a pawn. Just a clean pawn. Okay, so that's the position we have now, where white has won a pawn, but it is a double G pawn. And black has this bishop, but the bishop can't go anywhere yet. So white probably has a little edge, but nothing amazing. Well, my opponent just isn't going to show up. I won. Game abandoned. Got my 12 points. Alright, let's take a look at another game. Since we have time. This is an interesting pawn structure. A lot of queen pawn games. Alright, so this is much more of a normal Nimzo. Without having played d5 yet. Expanding on the king side. White accepts these doubled c-pawns in exchange for getting the bishop pair. And black's going to try and play against the doubled c-pawns. Oops. We see here. Now, black has achieved something because they have gotten one of the bishops off. So now white has two sets of doubled pawns and doesn't even have the bishop pair for it. So black has to be better in this position. As the pieces come off the board, these double isolated G pawns are going to be a big weakness. These doubled c-pawns are going to be a weakness. Yeah, so black has a really nice position here. All right. What's the next game? Speedy Chess 11. All right, so here we have an Italian game. And a lot of beginners will play up to this position right here and then play knight c3, which is not the most trying move. Because the whole point of the Italian game is that you want to get d4 in, which is why you'll see c3 being played. It's going to jump back every time they make a move, isn't it? So we'll go a little faster. So you're going to see white play for d4. They play it right away. You can play it slower if you want. This looks like black has stumbled into something that white knows. Or not. I don't know what's going on in this game. Okay, so he gives up the exchange. Yeah, I don't think he got enough for that. Well, maybe it's not black that stumbled into what white knows, but white that stumbled into something that black knows. All right, so what's the material count? You're down a piece and a rook? Nope, that one's over. That king is exposed, but you're already running out of checks, I think. King up, then kind of hide behind the queen or something. Oh, he's going to run back? Well, if he runs back, it's going to be a draw. So I think the king wants to get up here to h5. Okay, so he's going on a dark square, so there's no fork with this rook in the corner. And then maybe his plan is to play queen e7 on the next check. So he just takes the bishop, and black is up a rook. Now the rook's not doing much, and black king's a little exposed, but white just doesn't have any pieces to come help with the attack. So I think black is going to be fine in that game. This whole thing is a known line, or I can't imagine that the whole way is a known line. Well, maybe it is. Is giving up the exchange by white here known? Because that looked to be where things derailed a little bit. This all looked like it was theory. This all looked like they knew what they were doing. All right, once these games finish up, trying to get the queens off the board still. Check the king down here maybe. Once these games finish up, we will be able to enter the next round. But we only have one game that's finished. So how many do we have going? Quite a few. Oh, all the way to the checks. Okay. Well, it's interesting that you said that, Eric, because chess.com has added this feature that you can actually turn the evaluation on while you're watching a game. And it says that black is just winning here. According to Stockfish, it's +3.5. Now, I don't know how much to take from that, but something went wrong before that, I guess. Yeah, okay, so it was even until he castled. So it looks like castling is the move that did it. And now it says that black is just completely winning. I'm going to turn the evaluation back off. I don't like to leave it on. Okay, so when I have the evaluation on, you guys can't really see it. What about now? There. Now you guys can see it. Alright, so black is just winning that game. But I was more interested in the evaluation right before he castled, which was even. So it was definitely theory all the way up. Let's do it the other way. So here, he should probably just go ahead and take on c6. I guess that's one option. He's worried about g2, but he's not supposed to castle there. And I could see why it would be tempting to castle and go for that. Can you just take on c6 here? So it doesn't give moves, it just gives the evaluation. So what if I make a move? Oh, I can't make a move. Okay. So that will have to be explored another time. Well, it's still a game. I mean, black has all this material. What, it's 2 rooks now? But his king is still in the middle of the board. If it was blitz, it would be a little more interesting. But with 10 minutes, black should easily be able to survive this. Oh, don't take on c6. Just develop the knight. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, okay. Oh, and in this particular position, the bishop has already moved on to a different diagonal. Yeah. So what, knight? Develop knight to c3, I guess. Well, if you develop the knight, though, then don't you get in trouble on d2? So maybe this check is not the best. But you can't develop your knight now. Maybe you can play your knight back to f3, but that seems kind of passive. All right, let's see if I can just scroll and find it faster. Yeah, okay, there we go. I mean, you can't develop your knight to c3 or d2 here. Or a3. So if you're going to develop the knight, you probably shouldn't give the a4 check. So this position's already kind of tough. Yeah. But if you got to move the queen, then you probably shouldn't get queen check. Because c6 doesn't seem to be a big deal. Because in this position with the queen on b4, you can develop your knight. Although you've got to watch g2. All these games are still open. They're still going. My game's done, so we can close out of that. Queen c2. Queen c2. You're not worried about the g2 pawn? Queen g2 still looks pretty good. And then what? You got queen g2, rook f1. Yeah, if you give that check, then your queen can't come back to c2. Oh yeah, you can. The queen comes back to c2 now. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So queen c2, but then queen takes g2. Then rook f1. That doesn't look fun. Yep. But if you gotta let g2 go, then and your knight's not developed, then this line doesn't feel. I guess you've got a beautiful knight on e5, but the white king feels pretty exposed. Oh, they move. All right, so what's happening now? He's up a piece and 2 rooks. All right. King up to g6 looks good. I guess he can take the knight whenever he wants, but go back to this position. Knight a3. Knight a3. Queen takes g2. Queenside castle. Yeah, but it still doesn't look fun. You've queenside castled and your king isn't really any safer. Well, it's safer, but it's not safe. Oh, that check should do it. Nope, not yet. He's not giving up. Queen e1 now. Queen e1, king down, rook here, checkmate. Nope, rook here, check, king there, win the queen. Okay, rook e3, game over. Unless he's got something fancier. Oh, he can't do rook e3. He's pinned. Okay. So, queen e2 or knight takes g4. Okay, so he's going for queen takes g4. Yeah. And if queen g2, then we can play rook e3 and win the queen. But there are lots of ways to win at this point. So you want to play queen c2, and then do all that. He's determined. Just go knight f6 again. Nope. Knight f2 check. Queen takes g4 checkmate. Well, that game, I will admit, took longer than I thought. White fought on for quite a while. Alright, let's see. It was a fun chase to watch. Okay, so we've got 5 games left. We got some time pressure here. He's under 2 minutes. This is the pawn structure we were talking about earlier, where black just had a better pawn structure. But can he convert it? So he's going to save the pawn. He basically has to play rook e3. It would be nice if that black rook was doing something. But he's not. Yeah, after rook e3, how does black make progress? Okay. Puts the rook on the open file. But I don't think you're going to take that knight. So if the knight just doesn't do anything. So white has all these weaknesses, but black might not have enough material left on the board to take advantage of it. But hopefully whatever he decides to do is relatively quick, because this is a long break between rounds. We still have 3 games to go. All right, while they're thinking, let's see what's going on in this game. This is, let's see, who's going what direction? Black's coming towards us, so black is the one with the passed pawn. No, e-pawn is loose. Oh, that was his idea. Knight takes, and if rook takes, then the rook takes. So way back here, well, the knight can't go anywhere. The knight's kind of trapped, so doesn't look like there was any way for white to get out of that. And now the black rook is active, which means it should be game over. To start, you can just go rook a1 and pick up the a pawn. Yeah. And then just take with the b pawn. And those are some sad looking pawns that white has. Yeah, there's not even going to be much activity for that white rook. After one check, the king goes to c6. It's going to be hard to stop the a-pawn. I'd take c4 without thinking too hard, but c4 hit both c3 and f4 with the threat of check. He's just going to stop the white rook from coming in at all. Yes, there's no reason to let it in. Still can't guard the c4 pawn. Knight g6. After knight g6, if rook h6, I think the knight is trapped. If it goes to f8, then king e7. But maybe the rook doesn't get the h-file if you let him take it on g6. Okay, we missed a little bit here. The rook did get into the position. Okay, let him in. And that's just a lot of pawns. That's a lot of pawns rolling down the board. Check. Yep, king d6. Just push the f-pawn. King e5. Yes, well, you came after you saw after I was completely winning that knight endgame. So if there's anyone that can lose endgames, it's well, everyone that shows up Saturday mornings for chess. Everyone that shows up to our club on Saturday mornings can lose endgames. We're all very good at it. All right, that game's finished. We're back to this game where I guess both people queened. Wow, there've been some really interesting games. But both people queened, but I think that white is in trouble. They are down a rook. Queen takes f3, and then the knight drops with check. What about just queen d2? Queen d2 looks pretty good. Stops all the checks. Yep, and attacks f2. That looks very nice. All right, so as this game finishes, we should be getting close to round 3 of the tournament. Still 4 games left, but they all should be close to the end here. So if the king goes back to g1, you just push h2. Okay, he just won by resignation. But I was looking, if the king runs back, you can just push the h-pawn and you're going to be able to take everything with check. Okay, so this game's over. What do we have left? All right, this game is still over. 2 queens. 2 queens should be enough. 50 seconds left. I already left that game. Queen takes f3. there weren't any checks to worry about, I guess that would be easier than if just led right to mate. But the way he did it was pretty simple. All right, 2 queens here. You can do it, sir. How about king g6? Oh, that looks like it's going to work too. And then queen c f1. Oh, okay, he resigned, so that game's over. All right, let's move on to the next one. 2 left. They should be finishing up. Oh, this one looks like it might be a little while. What about this one? Oh, okay. So let's take a look at this. Is the first one we looked at. Well, that black pawn is very close to queening, and the white pawn is not close to queening. So maybe, yeah, can he not stop the queen? Queen d2. Huh. It seems like he should be able to shield himself from the checks long enough to queen. Oh, he just runs out of checks in another position? The rook game is more interesting. Alright, so black is up a pawn, but it's not a super healthy pawn in this position. And, oh, well, they're not going to be up a pawn anymore. That active white king is about to win it back. Since the rook, oh, well, he just went on time. So, wow. Not more interesting anymore. All right, so hopefully these guys can make quick work of this endgame. What is he trying to do? That looks like a good idea. That black queen is too far away to be helping the king stop the checks right now. Needs to bring that queen back, shield the king a little bit. Okay, queen b3. Oh, that works too. That's even better. Queen b1 check. Get the second queen. Called it. Called it a day. It is 10-second increment though. So low time or not. Alright, that's it. All the games are done. And we're about to start the next round. Hopefully this round we can talk less about the other games. Alright, so this is the guy that won on time, I think. We're going to play an e4 game. Yeah, I think this is the guy we saw win on time. Alright, so a Sicilian, we're going to play the open Sicilian. And a d6, so we're looking at a Najdorf or a dragon or more classical here. So I'm going to play bishop e3, go for a typical Yugoslav kind of setup. He played e6, so in positions where black has d6 and e6 pushed, a lot of times you're looking for f4 instead of f3. So I'm going to go bishop c4. And I think I'm just going to castle kingside. I'm not going to do anything too adventurous in this opening. And I want to see if he commits his king anywhere before I start pushing my pawns. So f4 is definitely a consideration. But I'm actually going to play a3. Stops knight b4 and gives my bishop a place to come back to. And yeah, now it's looking much more normal. So I'm expecting bishop e7. Not yet, though. All right, my queen needs to move. I'm not really looking for rook e1 since I'm likely to push the f-pawn at some point. So my queen can go to d2 or e2. I think in this position I'm going to put it on e2. And he's eyeing up the c4 square. Well, he's eyeing up the c4 square. So I push f4 now. If I go f4 and he plays knight into c4, do I just leave it there? Just so you guys know, while I'm playing, I will not really be looking at the chat for obvious reasons. So you guys are free to talk amongst yourself. And after I finish, I'll take a look at it. f4, knight c4. I don't know if I like that or not. I might have to take it if it goes into c4. That doesn't seem super pleasant. All right, I put my rook on the d file. So knight jumps right into c4. And I'm going to take it. And he takes with the rook. Makes sense. And I think I'm going to play f4 now. His king is still in the center. Now I've got to decide, do I want to play e5 or do I want to play f5? Both are definitely possible. Got my rooks all in good files. It's an interesting move. Rook takes c3, pawn takes, knight takes e4, but I don't think that's worth it for him after queen d3. Okay, so he's decided that his king is staying in the center, I guess. So I'm thinking if I go f5, he's going to push e5. Right, so something like f5, e5, and keep it locked up. So I think I need to play e5. Although, if f5, e5, I do get to d5 with my knight at some point. But yeah, let's go ahead and play e5. Not too worried about his knight coming into g4. Mainly because he doesn't really have any other pieces helping at the moment. Now do I play f5? If I play f5, I'm going to lose the e5 pawn. I want to play f5, but I don't want to lose that e pawn for free. Do I care about my dark square bishop? Maybe. Maybe I bring him back to c1 and then kick the knight with h3. I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to look for h3 now to kick the knight back. And then I think I'm going to look for f5 to try and open it up. And he says, nope. Oh. Okay. Well, now I'm not sure what's going on. So he's threatening to take this knight twice. Got it guarded once, which is not enough, obviously. I can take his knight, but I've got to worry about his queen showing up on h4. So if pawn takes, bishop takes check, bishop here, check, queen takes, queen over here. Something's happening. I'm not sure what, but something's happening. Or do I put my bishop back to d3? Then if knight takes, queen takes. I don't know if I like that either. Oh, that might be trapping the rook. So if bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes, he does something. And then I play b3. Then if bishop takes, rook takes. Okay, we're going to get that. We might lose a pawn, but I think that's the way to prevent the initiative from coming at our king. Yep. Take here. I also have knight e2 now to guard my knight again if needed. But I'm liking the move b3 to hit the rook. So he does that right away. Okay. So we'll guard it again. I guess he can castle at some point if he wants to. Alright, so he just decided to take the pawn. Understandable. People like to take pawns. So I'm guarding it. It's only attacked twice right now, though. So is he threatening to take on e2, though? So rook f2. Rook f2. Why is my king the one under attack? See, this is why I'm always hesitant to play f4. And this is why I like playing these positions so much as black. Alright, so if I move my king, he's going to take on e2. And he's going to get both my knights, so he's going to have 2 bishops for the rook. I don't know. I don't know if I want to give up. But if I don't, how do I stop that? Rook f2, rook e1. Okay, rook f2. We'll give him all the pawns if he wants. He can have them all. Okay. Now we can start trying to extract ourselves from this position. So if I go queen g3, attack this pawn. He can keep taking pawns if he wants. He can also take the pawn on a3 now. He can also castle here. Alright, so just king h1. Yeah, I don't think I could save all those pawns. King h1. Get out of the pin. King f1 to get out of the pin. King h1. Then something like rook f3 or rook f1. My queen is holding. Okay. Oh, my king's not holding f2 anymore. So what does that mean? It means that he is going to get his 2 bishops for the rook. And now we just have a really weird position. So I don't have f5, which means my queen isn't really needed over here. We can go rook c2, try and take the open c file. Let's see what we can do with that. I wonder if he will castle at some point to bring that rook in. Yeah, castling looks reasonable. We go here to protect this e3 square. All right, well, let's go ahead and double here, since he gave me that tempo. All right, let's attack the bishop. Okay. Well then. So his pieces are pretty tied down right now. Is there any way for me to take advantage of it? Do I have to worry about this happening? Maybe. Well, let's trip on the c file to start. Probably have to play g4. It's probably not any good, but I probably have to play it just to try and open up the position. Let's play g4. Since his pieces are tied down right now. It's funny because one of the reasons that I like playing the Sicilian is because I enjoy getting these attacks on this dark square diagonal so consistently. And here I am falling victim to it once again. Okay, now the H file is open. So I'm looking at like rook h2, queen h3. Something like that. Okay. Let's start with queen h3 then. I mean, I'm not going to save this endgame with him pushing pawns, so we might as well swing something over to the H file. So if rook h2, queen g7, there might still not be anything here, even with trying to get this H file. What about f5 now? We're just running out of material. Running out of material. But as long as I can get rook h2 at the right moment, it's going to be pretty hard for him to stop. So rook h2, bishop g7. Well, let's force him to do something first. But my rook on c7 is hanging, so I at least have a check. At least have a couple checks. Should I play queen h7 check? Or do I save my rook to give another check another day? All right, check. Yeah, not much happening here. Maybe f5 just doesn't do anything here. f5 takes. Oh, okay. He took on a3. All right, well, he is taking pawns, so maybe we can get something for that. But his bishop is just holding everything together. I mean, he can take either pawn with one of his bishops, and that's just about it. But we'll play on a little more. Maybe not till checkmate, but Ooh, bishop e4 looks like that's going to be about it. I need to give my king some space. We'll guard our last pawn. Maybe we'll push e6. He plays it anyway. Okay. Then he takes. Maybe my king will walk up the board and checkmate him. Forward. All right, another move or two and we'll resign this. We'll take a look at it. Oh, there are only 3 games left. All right, did you guys see anything that was a saving grace in that position? Let's see. After he plays bishop f8. Oops. Oops. Plays bishop f8. You're saying queen h4 hitting the rook. Oh. I guess he has queen b8 there. And then bishop g7, but it would have made him find another move. All right, let's keep going. Let's run onwards. Nope, that is checkmate, not just losing the queen. Okay, so let's get to where did we start talking about it? You guys started talking about way back there. Way back when he took on c2. But I think the real problem is the position at this point. If I can't play h3, then I've already got a problem. So maybe here probably instead of pushing e5 here, I should play king h1 so I can drop the bishop back to g1. That's probably where the problems began. Is pushing e5 before I had my king off of that diagonal. I do survive that if I take the knight. Okay, so take, and I was looking at he takes and he at least gets the piece. And then what? I hit it or something. It goes back. I was a little worried about this H file, but I thought that the position was going to be better than it was after that. But I think this is better than what ended up happening. I was also looking if takes and he takes right away. Then queen takes. Something like that. B3 first. B3 first before what? Before taking the knight? after you take back with the rook. And if I play b3 first, then he just takes. That doesn't seem good. Yeah, I probably have to take it first. And then I thought maybe he doesn't even take my knight. But after here, then takes. Or you're saying play b3 here. But that doesn't work either. Oh. Oh. Can I get back to my game now? Oops. Uh-oh. Let's see if I can get back to the game now. Archive. I should have opened it separately anyway. After he takes knight and you take back. Not sure which move number that is or would be. So here. Oh, play b3 here. Oops, I left live chess. Let's get back in the tournament if I can. Yes, I know he won by checkmate. I already experienced that. No games in progress. Is it about to give us a new one? Alright, I'll have to look at that later. But yes, I was thinking about b3 in a few different positions. So, let's see if I can at least... Alright, so this is the position that we're analyzing. Alright. Well, I'm going to play a Sicilian myself, but a different Sicilian. E6 Sicilian. The Buzzito. You know, he's probably done more to earn his 1 point than I have at this point. Bishop c4, knight c6, controlling e5. Wait, there's nothing on e4. Oh, rook e4, just playing rook e4. I thought you said it said capture. Yeah, but there are a lot of problems already at that point, for sure. All right, we're going to play d5. It's often what black plays after white has played c3 in the e6 Sicilian, going towards a more French-like structure. Here I get an extra tempo on the light squared bishop, too. Maybe the problems all started when I let that knight get to c4. And I exchanged it and the rook got in there. And I thought it was going to be easier to kick that rook out. Easier than it was. Okay, so we're going to take back, hit this bishop. And you can see that my light square bishop is much better than it usually is, since I don't have a pawn on e6 obstructing it. So I'm probably going to put my bishop on d6, knight on f6. I'm going to look to castle. Maybe the bishop to e7, so it's easier for me to castle. Okay, so he moves his bishop back. So let's develop our knight. Look for bishop e7, kingside castle, probably bishop g4. And as white, they're probably going to play d4 at some point. Okay, so bishop e7 so we can castle. Usually in these structures, white already has the pawn on d4, and so they get extra pressure on the c5 pawn if they get rook e1 in. But here, white hasn't played d4, and so there's really not a lot of pressure on black's position yet. So I'm going to castle and accept the isolated pawn because I'll have good activity for it. All of my pieces are out and about. So he can play pawn takes, bishop takes, and he can actually give up his bishop to get a pawn. But that doesn't feel good. Okay, that just loses a piece to that fork. Oh yeah, in that last game, I was looking at that, and I thought after queen d3 maybe I was okay, but I was worried about that sacrifice for sure. There were just major problems in that game from the get-go. All right, so we're up a piece here. We want to look to trade, and we want to limit white's counterplay. So I'm going to go ahead and play bishop g4, attack that knight. Okay. I can throw my knight into e4, which seems pretty strong. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to delay taking a little bit, just because he can retake with the queen, and I can take whenever I want. If he moves the knight anywhere else, I can just trade off anyway. So there's not a lot of threat of them saving that knight. And now I might even want to play my bishop to f5, since his queen's on that diagonal. All right, see ya, Eric. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna need some luck. I'm gonna definitely need some luck. Things are not quite going as planned, as usual. All right, so he's taking his time here. He's got to develop the rest of his pieces. He's not very close to doing that. I'm going to bring my rook to the c file at some point, and my other rook to the e file. It's a very similar setup to some that we've seen in other games that I've played. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just eye up this queen on that diagonal. See where it wants to go. And then we'll start getting our rooks on the good positions. For example, if the queen comes to e3, rook e8 looks strong. Or if the queen goes to e2. Not really worried about the queen coming to b4. After queen b4, I can even just play queen d7, and that guards both pawns. And then activate my rooks and play 6 and kick them out. Okay, so let's go ahead and play rook e8 like we said. Now I can think about bishop d6, and we've got discoveries down the e file if I move my knight. Alright, is he going to trade? Oh, that's just a free piece. That is a free knight, sir. Now my bishop is moved and their discovery is down the e file. So even better. Thank Eric for the luck, since this guy's giving me 2 pieces. Alright. Let's just attack the queen again. See where she wants to go. My bishop on h4 is not hanging since it's covered by the queen. Alright, let's take that knight. And then I'm going to play my bishop into e4. And then bring my queen likely up to g5. Well, I can't do that yet because the bishop's on it. I can go rook e6 and then bring it over. So I'm moving a little faster this game since I'm up a lot of material. Up enough material that I can get a nice attack against the king. But you can see I'm trading off pieces if they look like they're getting too adventurous. So rook g6, queen f6, and I think we're fine. Then after this, there's one more game. See if we can end on a good note with a couple wins. That last game is quite a ways out. Okay, attack the queen. Then we can decide to save the bishop, although the bishop is not actually under attack right now since the pawn would be pinned to the king. So the queen needs to make a decision where she's going to go, and then I can choose to save the bishop. Still thinking about that other game, this position here. So what Eric was mentioning was in this position right here, rook takes knight. And this is the position that we were both looking at. And it does give a little edge for black after the move d5, solidifying that knight. And it's going to be hard for me to save the c-pawn after, queen c7 or something like that. Oh, they're saying just move the knight back too. It's saying basically equal. So did it really hate f4? Probably gave away my edge. Yeah. What did it want instead? I know we're kind of jumping around and still analyzing this other game, but it was a much more interesting game. Bishop g5. Interesting. Okay. Moving the bishop again. Okay, so the queen moved. Now we pick up another piece because the queen cannot guard the bishop. And that will be our third piece, which should be more than enough to finish this game. So let's see. Did it not like e5 either? It thought I was fine here. So it liked e5. Okay. So he gave up the queen. So we are up just over 2 pieces. Well, 2 pieces and a queen for a rook, so even more than that. And no counterplay from those 2 rooks. We're going to try and sneak our queen in, look for a checkmate. Okay, so the big mistake was bishop c1. That was the mistake. Bishop c1 was the mistake. Okay. Bring a rook to the e file, and then look for queen f3 check. So we're cutting off the king. Wow, okay. So the big mistake was bishop c1. Either leave it there or do something about it before then, but don't try and save it at that point. Okay, check. Now it's mate next move. We can pre-move that since his rook guards the escape square. I do not want to draw. We will decline that. I hope he does not think this position is drawn. It's a little ways from drawn at this point. Is he going to just let his time run out? All 9 minutes of it? All 9 minutes. Hopefully not. Please don't mate me. Alright, now he's asking for me not to checkmate him. Well, if you don't want to get checkmated, you're probably playing the wrong game. Alright, so. And after that, it says I'm even again. H3. Bishop c5. Wow. Okay, it's getting better for him. Takes. Queen b6. Knight ce2. All right. We'll go ahead and disable chat. So is he supposed to take on c2? Yep. So did we ever have something at the end? Oh, it's not getting any better. At this point, we knew the position was lost. So the question is, did we have anything later on? There was that brief moment where he let me get all that play on the C file. And I thought maybe there was something here. But it doesn't look like it. Nope. It does not look like he gave me any chance. Yeah, it's all the same. And then it's lost. It's lost and there's no counterplay. All right, well, that was an interesting game. Looks like my opponent is going to wait out the 5 minutes. Let's see what other games are going on here. A lot of games left. 20 players left playing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games going. This guy's 3 out of 3. So maybe we'll plan on trying to come back another Friday and improve on this, because this was not our best showing. We're going to be 2 out of 4 with 1 round left. Not sure we're going to wait for the last round, though, since it's going to be another probably 20 minutes. We're probably going to call it the end of the tournament after this. All right, well, my opponent's just going to wait out this 5 minutes. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, enjoyed critiquing my games, and I hope you have a good weekend. I will talk to all of you later.